One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. What's going on? It's your boy, Jason Mass. Jason Mass playing music. Jason Mass playlist. I'm going to be promoting those things here in the upcoming days, weeks, months, years, etc. for as long as I can. That's going to be the movement. We're going to get off into another one of my favorite albums of all time. Got a lot of favorite albums of all time. This time it's going to be A Tribe Called Quest, their debut, People's Instinctive Travels and the Paths of Rhythm, 1990. Yeah, to me, major game changer in terms of Q-Tip, Ali Shaheed Muhammad, the late great Fife Dog, and sometimes Jerobi. Um, they were that was my favorite hip hop act of the '90s. Um, he just brought a different tempo and a different sensibility that was sorely needed, in hip hop. Them, De La Soul, Jungle Brothers, and the whole native tongue. To me, hip hop as a certain period, it never got really much better than native tongue. That's my heart right there. I'm a native tongue dude to the end. That's just one of the greatest, all-time greatest hip hop crews, and just some of the best music, just minus all the bullshit and the ego and the nonsense and the braggadocio and all that. Just it's hip hop minus the bullshit, and it was still, could get the underground heads, and it also could get the mainstream heads, and it was dope shit, but it was accessible. That's what made them so important. And Tribe was, to me, of the whole native tongue, they were the ones that were most responsible for changing the tempo of hip hop. They just kind of slowed it down just a little bit, you know, to it seemed like with Tribe slowing down the tempos a little bit, that they made it more palatable and just a little more clearer in terms of, you know, being able to understand, what was going on lyrically. I understood what was going on lyrically because I'm a hip hop head and I'm a hip hop fanatic. I can understand the real out there lyrically dense stuff, but I know there's a whole lot of people that are more casual listeners, and they made dope music for the casual listener as well as the connoisseur, the hip hop connoisseur, the hip hop aficionado, and they had the nobody had a balance like Tribe, and it really kind of mellowed out, you know, the rough edges of hip hop, you know. And this came at a time, 1990, where it felt like, because we were kind of like in the middle of the golden age, in the true school era and the boom bap era and all that, it felt like it was a how can I say it? It was all possibilities. It was just full of possibilities. It felt like hip hop as a genre could go in so many interesting directions, and in some ways it did, and in some ways, you see where we're at right now. Several years later, to be exact, 32 years later. But at the time when People's Instinctive Travels and the Paths of Rhythm dropped, it was just all possibilities. All things are possible in this thing called hip hop. So let's go ahead and get off into it. Definitely Tribe, one of the pioneers of so-called jazz rap, along with like Gang Starr and Diggable Planets. They're one of the originators of that. Yeah, and as far as lyrically on the album, Q-Tip never got more abstract and never got more poetic. Abstract poetic, that is his alias, his AKA, one of his nicknames. Never got more abstract or poetic than on that album, People's Instinctive Travels. And there's a quality to this record, you know, that there's an almost childlike, naive kind of quality to the record that it only that kind of innocence only happens like once in a lifetime. It's like, because once it's gone forever. You know, the maturity, you know, will overtake the innocence, and that is exactly what happened with Tribe. I mean, still released three just brilliant albums. I mean, it released like really six brilliant albums, but those three though, People's Instinctive Travels, The Low End Theory, and Midnight Marauders, those three from 1990 to 1993 are just some of the finest documents of what quality hip hop is all about. So let's get off into it, track by track. Um, Starts off with Push It Along, and the album kicks off, and that song kicks off with the introduction with the baby crying. You know, that represents birth, the birth of something totally new, something totally different, and comes in nice jazzy guitar. You know, it's just dope song. Just a great way to kick off a record. And dope song that leads into Jerobe's call and response, and that kind of ties the entire record together. That it happens on that at the end of that of Push It Along, and it's like he's doing all the song titles and doing the crew introductions, and that there binds the album together and give the album a certain cohesion that helped the album along there. Then we go into track two, and that one was Push It Along was for me a 9 out of 10. Luck of Lucien, 10 out of 10, perfect track. Samples the Beatles, All You Need Is Love for the intro, the horns there at the very beginning, and the fact that they sampled the Beatles, it's kind of like a reminder of the all gates open access to sampling that was still present at the time. And unfortunately, to me wrongfully, that doesn't exist anymore. The song about Luck of Lucien is a song about an overzealous Frenchman within that ran with the native tongue crew. One of the extended members of the native tongue crew. You kind of would hear about Lucien the Frenchman here and there, and he's appeared on a few different records here and there. It's kind of like one of those characters you would just kind of hear about time and time again. Very jazzy horn sample, perfect track, 10 out of 10. Then we go to another perfect track, After Hours, about kind of like a late night hanging out, and it has that incredible line in there, youth is fading as we gain our days. It's a ode to being young and getting your first little taste of the nightlife and hanging with your best friends and your crew. And for me personally, that hits me in a different place now, because I lived that, hanging out all night with my then friends, and we grew up, we grew apart, we just became older, and had our own agendas, and we became all men, as Tribe did, and that's just part of life. Youth is fading as we gain our days. Beautiful song. Can't help but to feel a little wistful about that one. Great track, perfect track, 10 out of 10. Then we go to another perfect track, Footprints, and that all gates open sampling again. Starts off with that loop, that Stevie Wonder, Sir Duke. That's works its way into that song pretty well. Yeah, dope track. Donald Byrd sample on that one, and they utilized the drums from you also used by Public Enemy on their first record. Yeah, this is to me one of the most surreal tracks on the record. It has just a tone of just it's just it's beautiful, it's psychedelic, it's surreal, and Tip really getting in, leaning into his abstraction. You know, it's perfect, just a perfect track. Yeah. Then we go into I left my wallet in El Segundo. That was the single there, which it was actually the second single because Description of a Fool was a single, but there was no video for it or anything like that. But this was the one that everybody kind of got familiar with Tribe, and a lot of people mistakenly will take I Left My Wallet in El Segundo as Tribe's first single. It was their first music video, but nonetheless, it's um, it's a lesser track when when you compare with what else is on the rest of the record. It's it's still a 9 out of 10 as a lesser track. Kind of a story rhyme about Tip losing his wallet out in El Segundo. Imagine that. And it's it. I remember when it hit. It hit. Like a lot of folks really dug it. And it was a good setup for what would be the next the next single, which would have been Benita Applebaum. We'll get into Benita Applebaum in just a minute. The track after that is Pubic Enemy. um, Ode to STDs, STD, warning track, pure comedy, uh, pretty funny, pretty interesting, great song, 9 out of 10. Then we go to Benita Applebaum, 10 out of 10, perfect track. Um, could be maybe one of hip hop's best love songs, quote unquote. Q-Tip's delivery is so relaxed and nonchalant and unrushed, and it's filled with these big pauses in between, each one of his lines. It's a different approach to rhyming, and so it stood out against everything, all the other hip hop that was happening at that time. That was, yeah, great standout there. Totally unique for its time. That was the third single, but a lot of people think of it as the second single. So there you have that, 10 out of 10. Then we go into Can I Kick It? One of the great all-time call and response tracks out there. Yeah, perfect 10 out of 10 on that one. This was the fourth single, third music video. The Lou Reed sample from Walk on the Wild Side, genius, brilliant. You know, just it was they got that one, got it right again. So we go into the next track, um, Youthful Expression, 10 out of 10. Samples, it's like a jazz version of Marvin Gaye's "Make Me Wanna Holler." All about that bass line. That bass line on that is just deadly, just great, perfect, smooth bass line. 10 out of 10. Then we go into another super surreal track. It's kind of a darker take on that surrealism that I just was speaking about on the track Footprints. It's like this is a darker take on that, a more nocturnal take. That's on the song Rhythm, devoted to the art of moving butts. Perfect track. I love the synth part on there, and the synth part and that echo sample is perfect. Great track. Perfect 10 track. Then we go into Mr. Muhammad. Has the Earth, Wind, Fire sample, the Bahia sample. Also with Kool and the Gang, also sampled up in there. And it's the paying homage to Tribe's DJ, Ali Shaheed Muhammad, aka Mr. Muhammad. 9 out of 10. Then we go into Ham and Eggs, a 9 out of 10 track. Um, it's a fun, almost throwaway track, and still dope. Still a dope track. You know, just fun, throwaway kind of. You know, even the lesser tracks are incredibly dope. 9 out of 10. And if I had to pick a least favorite track on the album, it would probably be that. And it's still a 9, you know. It's not bad. It's great. So we go into 13th track. Go Ahead in the Rain. Samples Jimi Hendrix and Slave. Jimi Hendrix voice, Slave, the music. Banger. That's surrealism, that childlike, naive quality. It's all there. Then we go into Description of a Fool. Roy Ayers sample. 10 out of 10, perfect track. And I love how they just let the groove ride at the end of the track, similar to like how Prince did on I Want to Be Your Lover. Perfect track. 10 out of 10. Out of the 14 tracks, there are 9 perfect tracks on this record. Everything else is like a 9 out of 10. Please get familiar with this record. Go back and refamiliarize yourself with the record. Great, great, great album. A Tribe Called Quest. People's Instinctive Travels in the Paths of Rhythm, 1990. Have to give this a 9.6 out of 10. There you have it. Please like and subscribe. Jason Mass playing music. Jason Mass playlist. Yeah, 9.6 out of 10. Peace.